Or is there an override?
Thank you. Right? How was your training today? Good. Good. They do a nice job.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
See, I have some-
I love it.
I told you, we're not there.
A little hot out there.
Mr. Ricklefs, you are live on both Zoom and YouTube. Audio and video are both working.
Thank you much.
Oh, yeah.
That works too.
Yeah.
Might need both.
Let me know.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Tyler?
Here.
Jeff?
Yes.
John?
Here.
Deb? Here. And Andrew?
Here.
All present?
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda passed. All right, we're going to jump right in. Hey, before we go though, I just want to throw some comments out there to everybody here in attendance, to everybody watching. You know, these past few days as a board have not been fun. As you can probably imagine, the emails, calls, texts started about Monday night and they have been 24/7 ever since. I can tell you, we have read every single email, every single text, listened to every call. Have we responded? No, we have jobs and families, but again, we did everything we can. Most were polite and gave their opinions. However, there were some that took personal attacks towards the board and the staff. These are not called for either in Gilbert or in any community. As a school board member, we volunteer our time to serve this school district and to make a better place to educate our children. We do not have political agendas behind any ideas or thoughts. We do care greatly for our students and all staff. Simply put, we are community members and parents who just want to give back. There will be conversations and thoughts tonight that you will not agree with. The reason I know this is because there is no perfect solution to this problem. I ask that you show respect and understanding as we navigate this challenging issue. Thank you. All right, now, we got the elephant in the room. So what my plan is tonight, we're just gonna jump around the board table and just have everybody give their thoughts. Kind of once we give their thoughts on it, we'll then go into further discussion and some questions. But again, there's no beating around the bush here. So we're gonna try to move this meeting along as quickly as possible. With that said, Deb, you're on the end. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with you on your thoughts.
Okay, thank you. I went ahead and prepared my statements just because hopefully I can get my message across a little more quickly. A little background, the ban on mask mandates was temporarily overturned on Monday, just hours before our meeting, and I'll be honest, it caught me somewhat off guard. I asked a lot of questions about mitigation we are currently doing, trying to understand the additional opportunities that might exist. I asked those questions because not everyone in our district sees this topic the same way. We have a decent number of students and staff that have family members with compromised health that have a right to know what we're doing so they can make an informed decision for themselves. Although I never mentioned mask mandate, during that meeting, several community members took offense to my line of questioning, believing my questions indicated that I didn't think what we were doing today is enough. They were right. I don't think we're doing all that we can. We also asked to schedule another meeting today to discuss what the ban reversal meant. 3 of us wanted to meet urgently. For many, they jumped to the conclusion of what that meant. I asked to meet urgently because I thought people would want to know right away, and I think we were right about that. Since then, I have read numerous emails from people on both sides of the issue, all focusing on masks. For the most part, people on either side share their concern for not only the physical health of our students, but their mental health as well. As Andrew stated, a number chose to focus on perceived power grabs, and some focused primarily on this being an issue of personal rights. I can tell you when I ran for school board, I never expected to be up here today discussing this issue, and I never thought this volunteer job would cost me so much sleep. Speaking for myself, I have worked through so many options in my head since Monday in an effort to find a solution that will meet most of the needs in our district. So, to get to the point, those who listen in on our meetings know I have always supported strong mitigation efforts in all forms, and I don't apologize for that. It's the job of the district to provide environments that are age appropriate, stimulating, that give children room to grow and explore new learning, and that are safe. We do that in many ways. We lock our doors during the school day to prevent unrestricted access. We require kids to wear shoes to protect the surfaces and also their feet. We require coats outside for recess when it's cold, and we install railings on sites like Mountain to prevent kids from falling off. These are all things we do today in the spirit of protecting students, and nobody complains. Now, that's what I believe. Having said that, and after much thought and consideration of all viewpoints, I don't currently support a mask mandate in Gilbert and don't believe it's the right answer at this time. Many parents, students, and some teachers have made that clear as well. I do, however, believe that additional efforts should be made to increase mitigation, including ensuring sick kids stay home, looking for a way to increase ventilation in our buildings, and additional curriculum. There are options that we have not explored, and things that we did last year that we simply stopped doing. If the overall situation were to change, I think our decisions should be reviewed. We want our kids in the classrooms, and I believe we owe it to all of them to ensure that environment is as safe as possible.
Thanks, Deb.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, we're kind of going around the room. Tyler?
Not Jeff.
No, we'll wait for Jeff. He's probably taking a nap, so
Okay,
go ahead.
All right. First, I want to take a picture of this. Because we need all of you here for all of our board meetings. It shouldn't just be this issue, right? So I also want to thank you for your emails and your input, because that's what this school district's about. And it's important. And I think both, as Deb and Andrew said, we prefer that they're respectful. We understand for some they weren't, but we'll try to be respectful back to all. It'd be great if we could have engagement on this, on other issues like mental health or school funding, or when we start putting together things for facilities. But this is the most people I've seen at the school board in my 10 years. So thanks for being here. I too believe we have common goals at Gilbert, and that's to have kids in the classroom and to have as safe and encouraging environment as possible. And I want to compliment the staff and these folks right here for what we did last year. And that's the staff, the parents, the kids. That was well done last year. So we had all hoped that we'd be done with COVID by now, but we're not. However, I believe that this year is different than last year, and we need to treat it differently. Done a lot of research. My wife's a PhD immunologist. One interesting piece of information that we found on the CDC website, and love it, hate it, but I think this one diagram, if you go there, it's on COVID-19 mitigation strategies in K-12 schools. And it goes through all the things that you could do to try to get down to zero risk. We'll never be at zero risk. But it takes into account that strategies need to be based on local context. And it has critical considerations, which include foster mental and emotional health and resilience of students, teachers, and staff, minimize negative physical, mental, and emotional challenges related to your strategies. So as I've thought through the issue, I believe we need to continue to be vigilant with our mitigation strategies. And I think our staff has got one of the biggest ones is let's not send sick kids to school. And I've heard through some of these emails that that's happening. Well, that's the easiest and best way to spread COVID, mask or no mask. So let's stop sending sick kids to school. Let's do what we can do in the school. And I think our administration and staff are doing that. Can we step it up? I think we can. And I think we're going to hear some more of our mitigation steps tonight. But there were 3 emails. Andrew and I were trying to estimate how many we got, but it's over 100 and maybe it's north of, I don't know. But 3 emails struck me last night sitting out on the deck, and they were from actually teachers and coaches. And those emails talk about the importance of safety, but they also talk about the difference in the attitude of students this year compared to last year. We did what we had to do last year, but the joy on a kid's face and their approach to this year. And that struck me. And I appreciate that we got those emails. I'm a scientist. I know if we wanted to go for zero risk, we do everything on the book, but I think we have to take things into consideration. And so I will not be voting for a mandatory mask. But I do want to encourage all of us to utilize all the other layers of mitigation that we have. And I'm hopeful, as you are, that once we get a vaccine available, and for those that want to be vaccinated, that we can be through this. So that's where I stand.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Deb. John, on your notes, what do you got?
Well, I would just like to thank the staff and administration. I know these things are very difficult, and it's really difficult because it's very polarizing at where people are on this. And so what I want to express is my gratitude for the board and staff to be able to come together and work through these difficult issues and maintain unity even in the midst of differences. And I'm always thinking that when we come with an attitude of gratitude that, hey, I might disagree with you on this, but I'm thankful for you for all these other things, rather than contempt. And so, as you know, whatever your positions are on this thing is that idea is, you know, what am I grateful for this person that I disagree with, and that I'm not going to let contempt, you know, ruin all the other good things about whoever I may disagree with. So I want to start with that. When I think about the position for me as a board member up here, my position is to weigh in on policy. And policy is challenging because there's always policy exceptions as to why a policy is not a good idea. And so when I contemplate the seriousness of COVID, the risk and rewards, and the mental health issues and all that, it sides with it. I would not be in favor of a mask mandate, and it's just the essence of what policy is going to be the best for the most kids. My daughter is special needs, and as a function of her special needs, she will not leave a mask on. If you put a mask on her, she pulls it off. And so what does that mean for our family? That meant for our families that anywhere a mask is required, we couldn't take our daughter with us. And so there's just all kinds of unintended consequences that we can't possibly possess. I feel just as strongly about that person that has to have a mask on to be able to go to a place. But the reality is when we make policy, it's not going to work for all of the individual circumstances that we have to have. And so when I look at this issue and I say, as a policymaker, what's going to be the best for the district, I'm in favor of the parents making those decisions. And so I don't think I have anything new other than what the other board members have, but that was the key decision-making process for me. So I thank everyone for their input and really appreciate everybody's engagement in the district.
Thank you. Jeff,
Andy, can you hear me okay?
I got you, buddy.
Okay, I want to reflect on like the other members did. I appreciate all the staff. I'm a pretty big fan of our administrators and our teachers, and I call Christine every morning just to make sure she shows up, because she's been at this job about 2 months now, right, Christine? And so I'm not sure. Yeah, so I mean, I know at the end of the day, I think her desk is full, and then it keeps getting more full, and then, you know, we got Ashley Soma, and we got Carrie Clark, and we got Vic, and we got all the they're doing a fabulous job. I'm not big into telling people what to do. I'm one of those guys that thinks that we can run things ourselves. So if your parents, if you want to put masks on your kids, that's what you ought to do. I think every time a government tries to run something, they don't do a very good job. And that's just the way I am. But I would tell you today, if the vote came down to it to put masks on the younger kids, I would vote for that, because there is not an option for them to get a shot. And that's the way I feel. But I will also, and the board will also tell you, the other members will tell you, we try to unify. You've heard from 3 of them up there tonight that they're not going to support a mask mandate. And there's only 5 of us, so you can figure out what's going to happen by now. But I just want them to know that I support their beliefs too. And there's no right answer. We as board members, we have 2 jobs. One's policy and one's spending money. And heavens forbids that we have anything like this ever happen to us again, because this is very, very troubling for me. But I have friends that are in this community, and I know that masks are very important to them. And so I don't think there's any reason to wear a mask in the high school, none whatsoever. And I think even junior high would have some benefit for not to. But I will side with the board, and I will side with them that I would not mandate masks. But if it would go the other way and we could put masks on the younger kids that are unable to get vaccinations, I would support that. So guys, sorry I can't be there. That's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you as well, fellow board members. You know, I get to wrap this up a little bit. You know, I'm a man of few words because I like to move things quick, but I think the board did a darn good job here tonight, kind of expressing their feelings, their thoughts. I mentioned it in the opening, this is not fun. I don't think I can emphasize that enough. This is not, and again, well, you signed up for this. No, we didn't. We didn't sign up for this. We signed up, as Jeff mentioned, for policy and spending money. That's really what we thought it was, and managing a superintendent and everything else. You know, this, you're dealing with an issue that there is absolutely no right answer. Okay, there is just not a right answer. Now, individual families, you have the right answer for your family, and I totally understand that. But you have to understand there's a lot of families in this district that have different beliefs. You know, my personal belief, my family, no, I don't think someone should tell us to put a mask on if we don't believe so. That's just my belief. Does it make your beliefs wrong if you think otherwise? Heck no. And not at all. So we take those all into consideration. You know, this last, again, the last 3 or 4 days, I don't even want to know how many hours we've spent, you know, email and calling, mostly honestly to the staff, with Christine and her guidance, and just getting feedback from the staff. We really relied on heavily on the group here at the front table. So thank you guys so much, not only for what you did last year, because you kicked some butt last year, you know, your feedback now, and then also going forward. We got work ahead of us. This is by no means the end. You know, our discussions tonight, as Jeff mentioned, I kind of know where we all stand now, where this is going to go. It does not mean this is going to be this way the rest of the year. I'll just flat out tell you that. We have no idea where these numbers are going. Our number one goal, I should say, I'm speaking, my number, these kids need to be on site. Number one, I don't care about anything else below that. We found that out last year. Online learning is okay. It is now nowhere near what we can do on site for learning. So that is goal number one. And I'll just flat out tell you that if we have to put masks on kids, get them back on site, we will do so. Okay, no questions asked. And I don't mean to speak for the board, but that's the goal. Where we're at, again, Tyler mentioned before, you know, with vaccines, we're gonna, you know, again, when hopefully the next 60 days, the kids that come out, if they'll have the option for it, that'll make me sleep a little better at night too, knowing it was available for the younger kids. I feel great about the high school. I feel great about the kids over 12 because they have that option for vaccines. I am a believer in science. But again, the younger kids, we talk about this mask mandate too. We are still going to push kids to wear masks. It does not mean we don't want you to wear masks. And we are still, our mitigation efforts are going to get stronger now, I'd say, because of this. We have to stay diligent on it. We're going to pick over Christine here. I think she can give some thoughts on it as well. But again, this is not the end. Tyler hit on this, and it's all, this is really what I would say the mental health piece of this is huge. I chuckled. I actually had the same comment Tyler had earlier. Mental health is a major issue in this district. It is a much bigger issue than masks. Yet when we talk about mental health or have programs, we don't have 100 people standing here with signs. And I'll be honest, that's sad. It is very sad. So you guys all have our email. Trust me, I know. I read them all. We're going to ask for help because going forward, mental health is going to be the biggest thing that's going to hit this district. It's only going to get harder and harder and harder as the years to come. These kids have been through a lot. These kids will continue to go through a lot, and we're going to need your help going forward. So with that said, I'm done. I'm going to turn over to Christine and kind of get some thoughts on mitigation efforts, where we stand today. And then, again, I'd like to move things quick. We'll maybe try to wrap some things up here.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Just as everyone has said, I also want to thank our community for reaching out with their emails, calls, texts, visits, all of it's really important that we do reach out and talk to each other and hear all sides of however we're feeling. So I'm really grateful to that. I did my very best to reach out back to you. With emails kind of started out a little bit longer, and by 4 o'clock today, I might have just sent you a thank you. So I did my very best to get back to you because I wanted you to know that, as the board members stated, everything that was sent or voicemails that were left were listened to, were read, and with some really wonderful information. So thank you for that. I also want to thank our wonderful board. As you heard them all here, what I want you all to know, if you don't know, is that they are here because they love and care about this community and they love and care about our kids. And so I'm grateful to work with them every single day and grateful that they're here and share their passions with us and allow us to do the work that we need to do. Also, a thank you to our administration and the work that they're doing. We're having conversations every single day about mitigation strategies. I'm going to get into that in just a minute. But it's really their voice at the table, the work that they do with families and with kids that helps us make these decisions. So I'm grateful to all of you as well. So, and thank you again for everyone who's here this evening. So very quickly, I'm just going to talk about a few things. On Monday night, for those of you that were not aware, we talked a little bit at the board meeting about kind of a reminder of the mitigation strategies we had in place and what we were doing. So we went through those, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. And in addition, then I met with the administration team over the last couple of days. We've been talking, and we've been looking back at our mitigation plan and saying, what else do we need to tighten up? What else can we put in place to make sure that we're doing everything we can in the buildings to keep everyone healthy? So we have updated that. It is our Gilbert mitigation updated plan. After tonight's meeting, we'll be updating anything new that comes from that. And that'll be on our website, which is, there's a button on the Gilbert website that says COVID-19 update, and that's where this will be listed, just so you have that information. So some of the things we talked about, I'm not going to go through every single slide, just in the interest of time, but if anyone is interested can go through and look at it. It's not necessarily new. Some of it is what we've seen before from last year. Some of it is just bringing it back and reminding ourselves that it's important. One of the things that I want to talk about first and foremost is to parents. If our kids are sick or not feeling well, we need to keep them home. Another great strategy at home is consider taking their temperature before they go out the door, you know, and if they have a temperature, we need to keep them home. Okay, so that's something we can all do to work together to try to keep everyone healthy. So just wanted to mention that. So let's talk about in the mitigation protocol, we talked about cleaning routines. If you remember, we talked about twice a day, all of our door handles, our railings, we're wiping those down, we're making sure everything's clean, and also our buses, making sure our buses are cleaned with our Clorox sprays, and making sure we have hand sanitizer that's available as we have had before. All of that has existed and will continue to exist. That hasn't changed. We talked a little bit about reminding our students and staff the importance of hand washing, about sneezing etiquette, especially we're coming into the flu season, not just talking about COVID, but also about the flu season and what we need to do, being sure we're using those hand sanitizer stations. We have them all over the buildings, making sure they're full and available. We talked about masks being available in the office, and then making sure masks, if anyone wanted one voluntarily, they're available in the classroom. If someone decided they wanted to wear a mask, they are available, will be available if they're not already by the 17th to make sure that we have those available. We also talked about physical distancing available when possible. With the principals, we also talked about what does that look like at lunch? Can we add more tables to spread out a little bit more? And that is something that our principals will be working with their custodial staff on to be sure that that is taking place. We had already talked earlier in the year about the plexiglass barriers. Those will continue to be in use when possible. And then the other big piece, which we talked about on Monday night, was that ventilation. When the system allows for it, making sure that that airflow can come in there, that we're changing out the vents more often so that we have that cleaner air that's better for all of us. So those are some district-wide mitigation strategies that have already been in place that we'll continue doing. We've talked about visitors, limiting our visitors, parents at lunchtime, things like that. Those will continue. What we talked about, I said this early in the beginning, if kids are sick, let's keep them home. We've all gotten those letters that tells you what to look for, so help us in that piece. We also we're so fortunate to have nursing staff available to us. So they are there to help support you as a family. So we want to make sure we're utilizing our nursing staff. We also, based on our conversation and feedback I had from all of you on Monday, we're going to put an area available for isolation in the nurses area or near the nurses area. So we have that available. That was based on your feedback from Monday. That's something that had gone away from last spring. Okay, and so I talked about some of the things. We did break it down in the return to learn or in the mitigation update by elementary, in our intermediate, our middle school, and our high school. And so you can go in there and see that, but it's things like I already talked about, masks being available in the classroom if they would choose to or have them, making sure sanitation stations are available throughout the building, looking at modified schedules to make sure that we're limiting class to class exposure, and then drinking fountains throughout all the buildings not being used and using just the water bottles or the bottle fillers. Similar ideas that we talked about with intermediate and also spreading out some of the lunch space. They've already been doing that in the intermediate. Previously, lunch was kind of in one area. Now it's a bigger area, so we give kids more options there. And high school, in the middle school, we talked about some of those same pieces and utilizing that outside area whenever possible. Sometimes we forget we've got those outside tables and let's get our kids outside as much as possible. At the high school level, the block scheduling is also helping implement some of that to not have so much student exposure. Adding a lunch is something that also helps, and they also are utilizing or plan to utilize the outdoor seating, of course, weather permitting. And then we talked about the drinking fountains. So athletics, one of the things we're going to continue to talk about that and follow the guidelines that are put out by the Athletic Association. So we'll continue to do that. We're notifying parents, that will continue. That's something that was unique to Gilbert. We continue to notify by grade level and by classroom, depends on what grade level you are, what building you're in, but families are notified. We'll continue to update the data dashboard. We're working on the absence percentage. You had asked me for that on Monday, and we're continuing to work on that. We're getting those numbers and we'll be implementing that as well. When I think about next steps, what are some other things we can do in addition to all those things? One thing we talked about on Monday is that we are going to reach out and have testing kits available. Some feedback that I received from parents is that it's not as easy as it was previously to go get a COVID test. If you remember, 6-8 months ago, you could drive through Walgreens and get a COVID test. It's not necessarily that easy anymore. So by providing, we won't give the test, but we would have a test kit we could provide to a family. So it might make it a little bit easier if families choose to have that. The second thing is to have a vaccine clinic, not only to continue to promote vaccines if families wanted to take advantage of that. We could get that going now, as well as then maybe if there's vaccines available, if families wanted to down the road, we would be able to offer those like you did in the spring. That's not new, it's something that was done before. And then we'll continue to monitor the data and the data dashboard. Every single day, we're looking at that data, we're talking about where are the numbers, what does it look like, who needs what kind of cleaning needs to happen in a particular classroom, what can we do? And then the last piece that I wanted to mention is just, everybody touched on it, but one of the things that really struck me about the emails that came through was about the mental health issue. Is that I had parents, I had students, I want to thank the students that are here, really appreciate you being here and having your voice heard. I had many students emailing me, and one of the things I had the students, as Tyler mentioned, talk about is that what it meant to all of you when you were able to take the mask off. That you were able to see each other's smiles, that you were feeling down and maybe even depressed or having a hard time, and what that did when you were able to take the mask off. So that really struck me, and I was very moved by those emails. And so I want to thank the high school students that are here tonight, or actually all the students that are here. I see some other students that are here as well. We appreciate our students and we appreciate you letting your voice be heard, and I'm very grateful to all of you for that. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and any other suggestions that you want to see us update or put into this mitigation plan, we're happy to do that. And we'll be making any of those changes tomorrow and putting this on the website by tomorrow. It won't be up there tonight, but tomorrow. So what can I answer or help?
Christine, I'll just go, I appreciate this detail so much, and I need to take a step back. I jumped right into this because I was like, oh God, I have to get this out in front of all these people. I need to say thank you very much for what you do, what you did last year and for what you're continuing to do this year. Wouldn't want to go through this with any other group of people, so I'm sorry that I forgot to say that. I jumped right in. Now, getting to this, I think this is a great start, and I love the things that you've outlined. Just like last year, I think it's important that we leave some of the specific details to each building, because I think they know best, right? You know how your kids move through, you know how the maybe trouble spots, if you will. And so, as a board member, this level of detail is pretty good, and I appreciate it. I don't have anything off the top of my head. Like I said, the key features for me were that I had several parents calling with concerns that maybe they felt we weren't being serious enough about having sick kids in school, and that some cohorting. Like when parents do make requests, to the extent that we're able to accommodate them, I hope we do. So that's all I had.
Well, and Deb, just to your point, what I like about the way this plan is laid out, and it's from the work that this group did last year, is that we had a conversation around, will this idea work in the elementary? What does this look like in middle school? Well, that might not work in middle school, but would this work? And so having the principals have input on that and putting that together was an important key to the conversations that we've been having. So thank you for recognizing that. And again, thank you to this group for doing that.
And as always, I just hope that we are very clear in our communication so that our parents understand what those are. And if there are slight differences, that they know that was intentional or not a mistake.
My only comments are, just like last year, every meeting we said, this is a live living document. This thing is not going to be written in stone. This is going to be changing, I think, as the tides kind of shift up or down, whatever. They're going to be living by this document. Again, the admin team, the great, Ashley Soma's been a rock star. People who don't know her, we relieved her of her COVID duties like in the middle of summer, and then we had to bring her right back on board. So Ashley, thank you for all your work. And you're going to be busy again, so I apologize. But yeah, my only comments, again, I haven't read your document in full detail yet. I plan to and get comments back. But again, I just want, this is going to be a living, breathing document that we'll be working on consistently. So.
Absolutely. And I would recommend that in our October meeting, whether it's a work session or an agenda item where we, either go through this or just have conversation around what is the data looking like so that it is a working document and we continue to answer questions that come forward and take a look at that. So I'm happy to bring that back in our October meeting.
John, any comments?
No.
So I have a question. Since we had this in place last year, this mandatory requirement, then the ban, obviously we stopped. Is there a vote that needs to take place tonight, or is it just the absence of a mandate that?
I
didn't mean
think
to throw
to
that one
clear,
out there, but
yeah, to make things clear, and I think to make sure you get it out there, I think we
Actually,
really should.
okay.
I think we should have some action item. But again, that's my thoughts. Unless somebody else has other thoughts on that. I just want to make sure it's really clear. We have it documented. That's what we discussed and what was done. Jeff, you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. Tyler, do you have thoughts, questions?
No, I appreciate this. My emotion on this is one end and the other, which is just ironic because it's the emails we've gotten are either here or here. And the one end is joy for the kids. And the other end is disappointment in some of the emails and the lack of civility that our community is showing. And that's not the Gilbert I moved into. So I would hope that in addition to emphasizing the mitigation that we are doing, that we can come together as a community now and act with civility and appreciate each other. Just as John said, there's gonna be differences, but let's not act like some of us have acted the last few days. So I just encourage us to do that. And I'll want to make a motion.
I'm trying to think of how to word it.
Well, I move that we encourage but not mandate masks for students, and that we continue to emphasize all other COVID mitigation strategies.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passed. We had one item on the agenda tonight, so unless there is anything else, I will take a motion to adjourn. the
Motion to
meeting.
Can I ask,
Oh,
Oh,
yes, of
sorry.
course.
is that also buses? You didn't specifically say buses.
We did not talk about buses, but I think as it sits right now, per the motion, I think it includes everything.
That's, okay, just want to clarification. Thank you.
Garbage can.
Now you're on mute.
All right, and you have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh, sorry, second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
It was unique.
I don't like, I mean, that's
Thank you for being here. Thank you guys. So, good, thanks. So I'm just, I'm not answering one email, not one. It's okay. I might have a lot. Maybe I should. It's exciting though. It was a good meeting, so thanks for being here though. Yeah. Very good.
See you later. Gather these.
Thank you. Oh, great. All right.
Gail, take them.
Thank you.
Walk in the park.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Hey, you're welcome. Well, I should have said it. I got stuff. But I'll be here tonight. Right, right, right. Thank you. What grade is it? 7.